Hello, welcome back for another video. I'm gonna try and make this one pretty quick. Basically, I started writing this one this morning while I was at work as should someone take Lance Stroll's seat in preseason testing or just have Alonso do both roles? But as I was writing it out, it got published that Felipe Drugovich is doing the role. But I still figured I can still work with this. Once I read into the situation a little bit more, yeah, I figure I want to make a video about this. So here we go. To summarize, Stroll's hurt. You can see both him and Aston Martin put out a statement. Hey guys, I've had an unfortunate accident whilst training on my bike in preparation for the season. I am determined to get back in the car and I'm excited about the season, whatever. I'm wondering if Fernando hit him. He was in Spain. It's been noted Fernando had a similar incident last year. I'm wondering if he's just getting the mind games already in effect. Like, Lance, watch your back. Fernando was already playing the mind games with you. If you didn't think you're a threat, take that as a win. I'm confusing my own words there, but yeah. Let's get through this real quick. So, the very interesting part for me, of course, within this statement that Aston Martin put out is this little highlighted part here. Lance is expecting a quick recovery and return to driving duties. It's been whatever, will be assessed daily and the team will issue an update ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. He's not guaranteed for the first race. So what are they going to do in this situation? So currently, we already know for preseason testing, they're going to have in his place Felipe Drugovich. Very accomplished junior driver. I got a couple list of these stats here. It makes sense. I get why he's doing the preseason testing for Aston Martin. So I know they have him and Stoffel Van Dorn, but Stoffel isn't available right now. He's doing Formula E this weekend in South Africa, I want to say. Excuse me. But yeah, so originally I was going to make the video about this. Does Fernando Alonso just run both roles for all 3 days? Similar to what McLaren did with Lando Norris last year when Daniel Ricciardo had COVID. And honestly, I probably would have gone for that option if I was Aston Martin. But I also get why they are running two drivers. It does make sense to kind of split up the duties. You can't have one driver doing 8 hours of driving per day for 3 days straight. Especially a guy at Fernando's age. It's going to be absolutely exhausting. So I get why they're bringing in Felipe at the same time, give him a little bit more time in the car. But what I'm making this video about is, excuse me, if Lance isn't available for Bahrain, is Felipe the guy to fill in that seat? So obviously I have to come up with these things for him, and he has the F2 championship. That alone is usually good enough reason for a driver to move up into F1. It wasn't in this case. It hasn't always actually been in the case a couple of the last championships. Looking at Nick DeVries, granted he's now finally making his full-time debut. Excuse me. Mick Schumacher really only got 2 years in the sport. Heck, even Stoffel at one point was... well, they called it GP2 back then, but he was a champion, and he only had 2 years full-time in the sport. But yeah, so looking at the years. Excuse me, I need a drink. Sponsored. Not sponsored. It's not sponsored. My throat is so dry. I'm still so sick, guys. But yeah, 2018, he finished P1 in both Euro Formula Open and Spanish F3. F3. I think it's Spanish F4. I think I labeled that one wrong when I was making all this. So yeah, fix that spit. F4. So yeah, it makes sense why he jumped up to F3 in the next season. But his rookie year of F3, he actually finished P16. I can't remember what team he was with, but I think looking back now, I wasn't watching the sport back then. But looking back now at the stats, I'm kind of shocked that he decided to jump up to F2. Granted, he had a great 2020 year in F2, but finishing P16, I would have thought he would have gone for an extra year in F3. Anyways, moving on. So yeah, 2020 P9, he had a fantastic year with MP Motorsport that year. I remember watching. There was a few rookies in the field that year. I was cheering for Schwartzman, but I remember thinking that what team did he jump to the year after? Was it ART? That doesn't sound right. He went from MP to some other team. I think it was Virtuosi. Yeah, I remember thinking he was going to go to Virtuosi, and I thought then he would contend for a championship, and thinking it was an absolute mistake when he went back to MP. But of course, he finished P8 in Virtuosi, and then P1 back again with MP. So I was completely dead wrong, but it is what it is, and yeah. So let's look at the other guy who could potentially contend for that spot, because I know it's as much as Felipe is going to be driving for them, it would make sense to kind of continue it. Let's look at the other candidate. We have to be realistic. Let's look at Stoffel Van Dorn and holding up his is that the World Championship trophy for Formula E? I think it is. So yeah, back in 2018, when I'm forgetting my words. Back in 2018, when Felipe was still in Formula 4, Stoffel was actually already in his second year of Formula 1, where he finished P16. Now, it's not the greatest numbers. It's really not the greatest numbers, but especially way back then, McLaren was not the team that they are now. And he was behind Fernando Alonso, which is dooming, which would be kind of ironic, because if he did get this seat for like one or two race weekends, he would be back beside Fernando Alonso again. But yeah, looking at the rest of his record, there's a very clear adaptability. Like everything Stoffel has gotten himself into, apart from Formula 1, he's had success. I already mentioned the GP2 championship. He was in the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2019 after he went out from Formula 1. Finished P2 in his category. Made the move to Formula E. Grant, he had a little bit of a rough start. 2020 was fighting for the championship. 2021, as much as he finished actually P9, I was watching it, he was not a bad driver at all, and he just really got put into a support role, and that kind of diminished the season. And then 2022, he was, from halfway in the season, the clear, runaway favorite to win it. I think it still came down to the last race or anything like that, but it was constantly his to lose. So yeah. Plus, there's so many reasons to argue for really either driver. But of course, it's the whole argument of speed, age, experience, whatever. But ultimately, I had to pick one between the two, which I think would be the best choice. And I think if Lance Stroll isn't able to race in Bahrain by next weekend, I think it would have to go to... Oh, no, we need to know. I'm kidding. But if I truly, if I did have to pick between the two, I would be picking Stoffel, who looks like he's doing a skin advertisement in this photo, just looks so soft. But yeah, ultimately, I think, especially because it's the opening round of a new year, I think you have to pick the experienced driver. I know the argument could be made that Felipe is doing testing, and it would make sense to have him continue just staying in the car because he's already driven it for multiple hours on end. But the amount of experience that Stoffel has with his 2 full seasons in Formula 1, and then I think he has an additional 4 years of being a test driver between Mercedes and McLaren. It's one thing if it was middle of the season, I can get why you might just throw Felipe in. But if it's the opening round or two, you want someone who's consistent, who's going to be able to give that feedback, who's been driving these cars for years and years and years, compared to Felipe. Granted, while he would have the previous weekend, he's still very, very, very new to actually driving an F1 car. He was never in any sort of junior program. Stoffel was for years, and then test driver, and then a full-time driver, and then returning back to a reserve role. I think experience wins in this case of who you absolutely just need to bring in for if it's only for one race, especially the opening races. Experience wins out in this case. I'm all for the fact that Stoffel's chance is done. I don't think he'll ever get a full-time race seat, as sad as it was. I think I don't know if he ever should have lost his full-time race seat, like in 2019. Like, yeah, he got absolutely destroyed, but it was by Alonso. So I can see him getting deserving, or at least not deserving. Like, he should have gotten a second chance with like another team or something like that way back in 2019. At this point, I think it's too late. But if for the case of just a one-off reserve, couple races or something like that, I could see Stoffel jumping in. I think that would make the most sense. I think he got absolutely robbed of it back in 2020 when Lewis missed his race. That would have been that would have been insane to see him jump into a Mercedes back then. But yeah, he probably feels screwed by that too. But anyways, I'm going to end this off here. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. I got all the social medias. How do I point to this? There. No. There. But yeah, I got all the socials over there. Please, like, if like that one you can ignore. It's YouTube. You're on YouTube already. But Twitch, please do give me a follow on there. I'll just play like F1 Manager on there and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And thank you very, very much for watching.